Hi guys, it's Miss Cat, and as promised, I have one more book for you. It's called Growing Trees. And if you look at the cover here, we've got a young girl standing next to a young tree. We know it's a young tree because it's got these supports on either side of it that kind of help the tree as it grows, okay? So this story, we should be able to answer some questions that we've had, right, about how trees grow. And before we open it up, I want to tell you that our author, the person who wrote the words, that's Judith Bauer Stamper. And our illustrator is the person who makes the pictures, draws the pictures or puts them together, is Wesley Lowe. All right, so let's open it up and take a look inside and find out about growing trees. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. Who was bigger, the tree or the girl? Do you remember? It began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and dad. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. We took a hike with a forester, an expert on taking care of trees in the wild. The forester showed us a small young tree and a big old tree that were like towering giants. Okay, so over here you can see the national park. And then on this page, you can see the forester answering their questions about growing trees. Then he explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts with a seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes the seed germinate or begin to grow. The seed sprouts a small root that grows down into the ground. So it goes down into the ground, and then the roots absorb the water and the minerals from the soil. Next, a small stem pushes out of the ground and grows two tiny seed leaves. The leaves use sunlight to give the tree energy to grow. A new growth called a shoot appears at the tip of the stem. Larger leaves grow from the shoot, and the seedling is on its way to becoming a tree. Okay, so I want you to look over here. This is the seed right here. And then we're looking at the root. Do you see the root is starting to come down over here? And then it's showing you up here the seed case. And then once it's kind of like pushed through the soil, you can see the stem over here. And then on this page, we're looking right here. It shows us the stem as it grows a little bigger, and the roots as it grows a little bigger. And then over here, look at this. We see the roots, the stem, the shoot. So that's the new growth, and some new leaves. Okay. The young tree keeps growing if it gets enough water and sunlight to survive. In the next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon the tree has branches, a woody trunk, bark, and lots of leaves. Okay, let's take a look at it now. If you look over here, it's telling us here's the trunk of the tree, and then on the outside of the trunk is that really rough stuff called bark. And then up here we've got some branches. We've got branches coming off the tree now, and then we have leaves on the end of those branches. Each year the tree grows taller and its trunk gets wider. A forester can tell how old a tree is by counting the rings. A tree trunk has one ring for each year it's been alive. This tree is more than 100 years old. A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer, a tool that takes out a small part of the tree without hurting it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this picture now. And if you look at that tree trunk, so what they've done is they've cut into a tree, or they've cut a tree down, and then they've taken a slice of the trunk. And we're looking at a slice of the trunk here, and you can probably see circles, a bunch of different circles. So for each of those circles, that's 1 year of the tree's life. It's like counting its birthdays inside. All right. Next, after our trip through the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. So Dad took me to a nursery, which is where you buy flowers and shrubs and trees. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or put in a new place. The nursery worker showed me trees that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer, and we looked at trees with soft leaves and trees with pine needles. Okay, so here she is at the nursery, and the nursery worker is telling her more about the different types of trees, helping her choose what kind of tree she wants. Because not all trees are the same, right? They do a lot of different things. Some grow food, some have flowers, some just have leaves, and then others, like pine, evergreen trees, like Christmas trees, have pine needles. Guess what kind she chose? She chose a maple tree. Her tree was already more than 4 feet high, which was a little bit taller than her. Do you remember when I asked who was taller? We can see in this picture that the tree is more than 4 feet tall. The nursery worker helped us choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. And then she went over the instructions on how to plant the tree. Okay, so here the nursery worker is giving her all the information she needs to take care of her tree. I wonder why she chose a maple tree. Why do you think? And what would you choose? Would that be what you would choose for your tree? Or would you choose something different? I picked out a place in our backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole with the shovel, and the hole was as deep as the tree's root ball and about 3 times as wide. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened burlap bag around the roots, and next we filled soil around the tree. I added organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled it with mulch on top. Okay, so on this page, they're digging a hole. They found a spot in the yard that was nice and sunny, and they're digging their hole. And then over here, you see what she's doing. So she is putting the tree in the hole, and then they're covering it back up with dirt, and now she's getting ready to water the tree. Trees need lots of water. Okay, so then Dad asked an arborist, that's a big word, arborist, to check out the other trees in our yard. An arborist is like a tree doctor for trees. She pruned the branches of our big trees with pruning shears. She checked all the trees for signs of disease. She also listened for bugs by using a stethoscope. She looked like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged in a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off 2 broken limbs. Okay, you can see the arborist is coming in, and she's got pruning shears. These are pruning shears, and she's taking off unhealthy parts of the tree. And then over here, she's doing like a health checkup. See, there she's got the a stethoscope. This is like what a doctor wears to listen to your heart, but she's using it to listen to the tree for bugs. They're making sure the tree is healthy, just like a doctor would do for you. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said that it was doing just fine. She added that a stake might help it grow up straight. When the weather turned cold, my tree's leaves turned bright red, and then they twirled down to the ground. Okay, so over here we were talking about it. We've got a couple supports that are loosely tied to this young tree, so that it helps keep it stronger as it grows, but it also gives it enough room to wiggle and grow on its own. And then over here, you can see that it must be what time of year, because the leaves have changed colors and they're red. Say what? That just happened in Michigan. It must be fall. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the summer, it grew branches with more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. Okay, so let's look up close. Here we see her budding. In springtime, it buds. The tree has tiny little, and I'm going to get it as close as I can. See those little green things on the end of the branches? Those are buds. And buds are going to turn into new leaves or flowers. This is a leaf from my red maple leaf tree. It has 3 lobes that have saw-toothed edges. The bark is dark gray and rough with little ridges. Okay, so we get a close-up of the leaf here. Get that really close for you guys, sorry. Get a close-up of that leaf, all right, and then get a close-up of that bark. See, it's gray and has ridges. It's really rough to the touch. All summer I watered my tree and checked it for insects, but it just kept growing. The arborist said that my tree could grow 60 feet high. That's taller than my house. Look at my tree now. It's much taller than I am. And if I take good care of it, it will be around for a long, long time. A tree is a great friend to grow with. Okay, check it out. It's getting bigger. Say it was already bigger than her, but it just keeps growing. And that's the end. But if you look here, it says you can plant a tree too. What tree would you choose? Okay, so Miss Cat asked you that question, and if you take a good look here, here's some different choices. Up here, this is an oak tree. It offers a lot of shade, right? That would be a nice tree to sit under in the summer. Or down here, we've got a weeping willow. And this doesn't have like leaves like we think about. It's got these long strands that come down from the tree, and it's really beautiful to look at. Up here we have a palm tree, and that they are found in really warm tropical locations. Find them on the beach by the ocean. And then over here we have a pine tree. And the cool thing about pine trees is they don't have leaves that change color. They stay green all year. And they are what we think about when we think about Christmas trees. All right, and then down here, we've got a Japanese maple. And these trees, they're really colorful in the fall. They turn orange and gold and red, and they're just very beautiful to look at. And then over here, we've got a sweet cherry tree. A tree that grows sweet cherries. That's some tough choices. I wonder what you would pick. All right, maybe your mom or dad or your adult at home could send Miss Cat a remind. But before we leave and do other things with our day, I want you to stop and think. We read 2 books about trees this week. We read Our Tree Named Steve, and we read Growing Trees. And we learned a lot about trees. But I'm wondering if my friends noticed something. That at different times of the year, trees look different, don't they? They go through big changes. And trees in the wintertime look a lot different than trees in the summertime. And trees in the fall look a lot different than trees in the springtime, don't they? I wonder why. Why do you think that is? And I hope that when you are looking through that book, you learned it's hard work for a tree to grow. It starts as a tiny little seed and then gets really big and tall. Trees have important jobs to do. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed all 3 books this week, and I hope you're having an awesome time at home, studying at home, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.